the keys are to the glory days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback podcast time. Welcome to the show, everyone. 49ers versus Rams upon further review. That means that I've been able to scour the All-22 film and get some key takeaways, some coaching points about what the 49ers did well. What are some things they still need to improve? But really, we're all still excited about that 49ers Rams victory. I mean, 49ers played so well, and now here we are, and everything has happened over the weekend, and the 49ers are sitting as the number one team in the NFC West, 3-0 against their NFC West counterparts, but also number one in the conference because the Eagles lost to the Denver Broncos. The 49ers have a better division record. 49ers have not lost in conference. They are sitting atop. Now, the Eagles are right there, and there are other teams that are right in the mix too. The Lions, definitely a part of that as well. So there are teams that are still right there with the 49ers, but the good news is, with all the injuries and everything that's been going on, the 49ers are still finding ways to win. Whether it was beating Seattle in Seattle or beating Los Angeles in Los Angeles or just taking care of the Cardinals at home, these are key factors to helping your season. But every single week, you're looking to get better. 49ers are coming off 3 days off. They're going to be looking back to get into work, and these are some of the things they're going to work on. They're going to talk about the things that they needed to get better at, and they're going to put their best foot forward as far as getting better and getting right at key positions, because there are some things that still aren't going right. This 49ers running game is not where it needs to be. Pass protection hasn't been as good as the 49ers want it to be. I think overall offensive efficiency could get a little bit better. I think defensively, there's also some things that sprung up in this game. Some confusion, some breakdowns in coverage, maybe lack of pass rush still befalling the 49ers since they lost Nick Bosa. So there's a lot of things to get into. So I went through, I broke it down, I got all these notes that I want to talk about and what the 49ers are going to be working on and what they could do to get better and what happened in this game that, some of it probably stuck out when you watched it live. Some of it probably didn't. And when you go through the All-22, things make a little bit more sense. You see things like Connor Kobe missing a block on a trap, and you're like, why did this play not work? Why did McCaffrey almost get hit in the backfield by Poona Ford? And then you realize exactly what happened. You might miss it live. You just think somebody got through, that maybe Dominic Pooney let his guy come free, and that's not the case. It was actually a trap play. So things like that stand out. But just like always, please like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I really appreciate it. If you're listening audio platform, 49ers Cutback on Believe Network, please give it a 5-star rating if you feel like I deserve it. And of course, this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. They are the title sponsor of 49ers Cutback. So let's get right into this. And I have to start with Kyle Shanahan because I think that Kyle Shanahan and the way that he handled some of the play calling, especially early in this game, the formations, the personnel groupings, it was very important to how the 49ers got off to such a good start. So you start out with the first drive of the game, and the 49ers are just living in 21 personnel, and I don't think that is something that surprises anyone when you're dealing with all the injuries at wide receiver. And so, yeah, it makes sense to have Kyle Juszczyk and Christian McCaffrey and then a tight end in there, whether it was Jake Tunges or Luke Farrell, and then two wide receivers, Demarcus Robinson and Kendrick Bourne. But the fact that the 49ers were able to do that and have so much effective pass plays with not just Kendrick Bourne, but Christian McCaffrey and Kyle Juszczyk, it was Kyle Shanahan kind of getting into his matchups. But it wasn't just that. The second drive, they start back inside their own 10, and he goes to 11 personnel. And he decides, we're going to run the ball a little bit more effective on this drive. And we think that the best avenue to do that is to get the Rams into their nickel personnel. And so he did that. And sometimes he would spread them out. He would get them to give 4-man fronts. There were a lot of things that he did in this game that helped kind of make it easier for Mac Jones and for this 49ers offense to move the ball. And early on in the game, the run game wasn't dynamic. but it was effective. They were getting 3, 4, 5 yards, here and there, and really being able to lean on that early, mixing in the pass and taking what the defense was giving was one of the main important parts. So Kyle Shanahan did a really good job using personnel groupings to find good matchups. I'll give you one really good example of that. The 49ers are in the red zone. It's their second time inside the red zone within their first 2 drives. And the very first play, they do a great job running the ball on a toss play to Christian McCaffrey. And they get, Colton McKivitz pulled around the outside. Kendrick Bourne makes a good block. Kyle Juszczyk comes through and makes a good block. And the 49ers get 5 yards on the play and go from first and goal at the 6 to second and goal at the 1. And then he goes to a 23 personnel. 2 running backs, 3 tight ends. And they don't run this very much, but they did. The Rams countered that by coming in with 8 defensive linemen. 8, their goal line front. When they saw that at the line of scrimmage, Mac Jones canned that play, which was probably a run. If they were going to get an advantageous look, they were going to run the ball. And he went to the second play that Kyle Shanahan had called. And that play was a pass play to Christian McCaffrey, Jake Tunges. What they did, though, is when they split those 2 guys out wide, they kept Kyle Juszczyk in the backfield. Because the Rams know Kyle Juszczyk will run the ball, and because Kyle Shanahan's shown he'll run the ball, they had to keep somebody in. So they had one-on-one on the outside, or one-on-one with each one of the 2 receivers that were out there. McCaffrey inside in the slot, Jake Tunges outside. Landman, the linebacker, covering Jake Tunges. Advantage 49ers. Then you have on the inside, Reeder covering Christian McCaffrey. Extreme advantage 49ers. And what I love about this is the 49ers do something real simple. Is you have Jake Tunges running he looks like he's running a straight slant, and then he's going to break to the corner. He's going to run a slant, and out, and then he's going to, get that. It creates separation for Christian McCaffrey, and Reeder can't get to him right away. Once he has a step on Reeder, it's all she wrote. Really, Mac Jones had both guys open because Landman also jumped on McCaffrey. He rolls, he throws. It's a big-time play. But that is one of the things, taking advantage of the personnel you have against the defense. So the defense had to sell out to stop the 49ers run inside the red zone. At least that is what their defensive coordinator, Chris Shula, thought. And it gave the 49ers an advantage in the passing game. That's part of the reason that Christian McCaffrey is playing so many plays. Is right now he's helping manufacture offense because you don't have weapons like Brandon Ayuk and Joanne Jennings and Ricky Pearsall and George Kittle. And without them, you need Christian McCaffrey out there. Whether he's getting the ball or he's just a decoy, he's effective in either manner. And so Kyle Shanahan's using him that way. We've seen him motion him around, right? They ran that play that they've run against Seattle where you have, the fake to you have him coming around, you fake the screen to him the way they used to do Debo, and then you fake it the other way to the other running back, which was Brian Robinson. They had Brian Robinson, Christian McCaffrey on the field at the same time, which was fun to see. And then he hits Jake Tunges over the middle of the field, split the defense in half and go right up the middle. We've seen them do that before, and they did it again. This time, McCaffrey was playing the Debo role, and Brian Robinson was playing the McCaffrey role, and it wasn't as effective, but it still was effective. It got an 8-yard gain. So we're seeing Kyle Shanahan be able to take advantage of his offense and the way that he uses his players, and he had a really good game plan that he was able to take advantage of some of those personnel groupings against the Rams, which helped his offensive line. It helped his skill players. It kind of helped everyone. And one of the ways he did that was he made the Rams cover every blade of grass horizontally. So as an offense, your goal in every single game is to make a defense guard and protect every single every blade of grass that is on the field. And why do you say that? Because then you start finding space. If they have to be if they're spread horizontally, you can find space in between. If they're spread vertically, you can find even more space, right? So you want to stretch them vertically, you want to stretch them horizontally. And right now, with the way that teams are playing the 49ers, they're trying to take away some of those intermediate routes. And so you're having to go back to something Kyle Shanahan did a lot with Jimmy Garoppolo, and that was stretch people horizontally. We're going to make you guard us everywhere he is. Like I brought up that Tunges play earlier. You had the other one where they threw the screen to Christian McCaffrey. They wanted the shot downfield, right? They ran McCaffrey. He got the push pass. He gave it to Bourne pitched it back to Mac, and they're looking to have this pass down the sideline, but the defense played it really well. Well, you have a built-in adjustment. Go right back to McCaffrey for the screen. We're seeing a lot more screens. Everything is a lot more horizontal, a lot more underneath as they're making these defenses, give in to what they want. Defenses right now don't want to give you those intermediate routes. We're going to take everything away. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. We're going to hit you where it hurts. Underneath, we're going to make you go horizontal. The opportunities for some of those verticals are going to be there. And that's when this 49ers offense will explode, is when teams have to fear the 49ers vertically and horizontally, because that means they have to cover all the blades of grass, and that opens windows in their zones. Right now, though, the horizontal offense was working. They were moving horizontally, opening windows for Mac Jones to throw the ball, and that was Kyle Shanahan's main theme in this game, was win personnel matchups and spread out the Rams' defense horizontally. And they did a really good job. Were there a couple of shots that they had opportunities to go vertical? There was. Mac Jones took a less dangerous, throw underneath, and I'm okay with that, right? There's one, he throws it to Marquez Valdez-Scantling for a gain of 9. Successful. Did he have Kendrick Bourne up the seam for what could have been 30, 35 yards? Yes. But I have no problems with Mac Jones living with that throw and making a good throw, a high volume throw, a throw that is going to get completed. So I have zero problems with that. And that's something that he definitely did in this game. He was successful in making sure that things underneath that worked, they're high percentage, and that you're able to get, close to first down, stay ahead of the sticks. And we know that was one of my, key matchups in this game, was staying ahead of the sticks, because ultimately that's one of the goals in every single game, but especially now. First and second down success, it didn't matter if it was through the run or the passing game. Both of those had to be there. Mac Jones taking advantage of what the defense gives. Check downs to deep throws. He did that. He took advantage of all the check downs. Didn't care who he was throwing it to. That was something else I said. MVS, Kendrick Bourne, Jake Tunges, Luke Farrell, Christian McCaffrey, Kyle Juszczyk. He was spreading the ball around to whoever needed to get the ball. And I thought that they did a really good job with that. So I thought that was good. Now, the 49ers run game, it was close. It was close to having some big explosive carries. Unfortunately, they're still missing a block here and there. Maybe the running back's not quite seeing it. There was one time that I felt like McCaffrey, if he'd have followed Jake Tunges, he could have had a big run in the first half, a huge hole. There's another opportunity where Tunges is outside looking for the safety curl, or if he would have came in like he was supposed to and blocked Omar Spates, that McCaffrey would have had, a huge hole. There were some of the holes in this game that looked very reminiscent of old 49ers run game. The problem was lack of execution allowed somebody to be there to make a play. And so they're getting closer, though. This was a lot better when it came to some of the blocking, especially in the first half. Second half, it got a little bit dicey. But I thought in the first half, the effectiveness, the game plan for it, it opened some windows where they could have had some big gashing runs. Just one thing away, one part now missing, right? One block, one read, one part of the execution wasn't quite there. I brought up the Connor Kobe, missing the trap block. A couple times Connor Kobe got pushed and kind of pushed down a little bit. But we saw some good too. That first third down run play the 49ers had in the red zone, they have 3rd and 1, and Jake Brendel gets beat, and Colt McKivitz gets beat by Jared Verse. You got Poona Ford and Jared Verse, bearing down on McCaffrey, and Jake Tunges, and I got to give him credit, gets enough of Landman to get him pushed out to give McCaffrey literally this much. That Poona Ford came this much to grabbing McCaffrey, but he could stretch it as far out to the sideline as he needed. Got right up to Tunges and was able to get vertical and get a first down on 3rd and 1. It was a huge run play in the game, and the 49ers ended up scoring a touchdown on that drive. So literally a game of inches. And so where you saw some guys maybe struggle, maybe you saw some other guys pick it up. But there's too many times you have 4 49ers offensive players, 3 Rams, and somehow one of those guys ends up making the play. The numbers are there. The effect should be there. There's just lack of execution right now in the run game for the 49ers, and it's kind of everybody, right? Sometimes it's the tight ends. Sometimes it's the running back. Sometimes it's the lineman. They're not getting these times where everyone's executing at once, and you're getting the explosive plays like you used to. So those things will come. but right now they're still working on it. But the good news is Mac Jones, he looked effective. He was good in this game. He took what the defense gave him. He played tough and physical. I thought that there were a couple of times he made some mistakes when it came to coming to the line and didn't check out, didn't can a play, run play and go to a pass, especially when he got a 6-man front. So there were a couple of times where I think that he just didn't quite get to the right play. But for the most part, I got to say, Mac Jones was very good in this game. He was effective. He did what the 49ers needed him to do to win. And that's all you can ask for your quarterback, whether that's your backup or your starter, is get us in a position to win. And I thought that Mac Jones did that in a really big way. Some of his layered throws were really good, getting him over the top of defensive linemen and kind of letting him sit in there. He was throwing with good pace, with good anticipation. Him and Demarcus Robinson were showing some chemistry. You had the back shoulder throw down the sideline. I thought that one was good. He had another one where Demarcus Robinson ran a stop route and it was open for a first down, and he hit him on that. They were showing chemistry. His chemistry with Kendrick Bourne was definitely on display. Kendrick Bourne was phenomenal in this game. He had the one drop. Other than that, it was good route running. It was good blocking. It was effective wide receiver play from Kendrick Bourne. So I thought that the two main wide receivers did a good job. And then I thought that Marquez Valdez-Scantling did well, too. He was targeted actually 3 times. He had 1 catch. The other 2 were not really an opportunity for him to catch the football. Both of them came in that last 2-minute drill of the first half. He had one towards the sideline. And even with Marquez Valdez-Scantling working back towards the ball was still low and to the outside. I thought that was a little bit of an errant throw for Mac Jones. Maybe they don't have the chemistry yet. The other guys, right, he's worked with before, whether it was Demarcus Robinson through training camp or in the case of Kendrick Bourne, they've actually played together in New England. So maybe him and Valdez-Scantling are still working some things out, but there was some opportunities there. There was another one where he wanted Valdez-Scantling on a crosser. Valdez-Scantling was open. He was going to take a hit. Don't get it wrong. He was going to take a hit, but it would have put the 49ers inside the 15 with, probably about 15 seconds left. They probably would have used their timeout, but had a shot at the end zone. But he left it short. And so they're just not quite on the same page. But other than that, I mean, really good. Good job. I mean, you just run the offense effectively, getting in and out of the huddle, doing everything you need to do. I think Mac Jones is doing a very, very good job. And, that's what helps this offense go. Besides Christian McCaffrey just being Christian McCaffrey and having 76 snaps, which is ridiculous. Christian McCaffrey, of course, was the 3rd ranked according to PFF on offense with a 67.8 grade. Whether it was in the passing game or the running game, he just continued to be effective. And so I thought that he did a good job with that. Now, I want to talk about the offensive line a little bit before we move on. It was a tough game for the 49ers offensive line. Connor Kobe in particular, he got a 39.2 grade according to PFF. And sometimes that doesn't really articulate when you're watching the film. But I did think it did in this one. I thought that there were good moments for Connor Kobe. It wasn't all bad. I thought that there were some times he did a effective job. There's some run play when he's in space, screen passes, things that he's working to second level. I think he's extremely effective. Right now, though, he's struggling with some of the different pass rushers. He did pull a tough challenge in Poona Ford. I thought Poona Ford gave him some problems. Same with Kobe Turner. Both of them were effective, especially Poona Ford, though. And I think he's still having a hard time, getting any sort of a movement in the run game. And he's having problems with stunts. When they loop in on him, him and Trent Williams just have no answers right now. Connor Kobe is not coming off. They're not passing off. It's just not working. And so they've got to figure that out. Now, when it's coming from the other side, when someone's stunting, from an interior position back towards him, he does a lot better. But when he gets on his guy and that guy's working an outside leverage, he is very tunnel visioned and he starts turning into him and just leaving himself open, to that TE stunt. And that is exactly what's been killing him. Josiah Stewart had him dead to rights. Luckily, Mac Jones got rid of the football early, but those are some of the things he's still struggling with. I brought up the missed trap block. It was not proper technique. He put his head in the wrong position. He just didn't get on him, and that would have been huge. It was set up for a really big run. They had it designed well. The blocking was going to be there on the back end, but it got squeezed down too much because he didn't make that block. So right now, Connor Kobe is definitely struggling. I thought it wasn't just him, but other offensive linemen struggled in this game. I thought Colt McKivitz had some struggles as well, especially dealing with Byron Young's speed on the outside. Jared Verse with some of his knifing inside on run plays I thought were good against Colt McKivitz. I don't think it was a terrible game, but I do think that he had some struggles. And then I thought Dominic Pooney played better than the PFF grade illustrated. It said he was at 51.7, but from what I saw on film, this is one of the better games that Dominic Pooney's played this year. I thought he looked the most healthy, and I'm hoping these 10 days, that he has to kind of regenerate. He had 3 days off. That's going to be huge. Can really help him get back on track, because I thought that he did, a pretty good job of kind of getting it back and being that guy that we have, kind of grown to respect and bring up, what he's going to be able to do. So, I thought overall that was pretty good. Brendel was the number one run blocking offensive lineman in this game. Trent Williams was the number one pass blocking offensive lineman in this game, but Trent gave up 3 hurries. Especially in the second half, the Rams have definitely bear down on Mac Jones a lot, especially when it came to times where we knew the 49ers had to pass. But once again, with a not so mobile quarterback, only 1 sack in this game, and it happened in overtime. So give credit to the 49ers offensive line. They're competing, they're battling. It's definitely not perfect. They've got a lot of work to do still to be, one of those teams that's going to be able to get it done when they get to the playoffs. But I thought that there was some good and there was some bad for this 49ers offensive line. They've got to continue to grow from that. That is for sure. Now, if you're going to bet, you need to bet with FanDuel. Right now, the San Francisco 49ers are a 3-point underdog to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And if you bet that means, it's just a home field advantage for Tampa Bay. But right now, that's what the number is. It has grown a little bit since yesterday. Yesterday it was 2.5. Today it's 3. But that's okay. And then you look at the money line. 49ers are at plus 134. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are at minus 158. The over-under is 47.5, and I'm sure that is a big reason why is because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Seattle Seahawks had an absolute shootout. So they're looking at that and saying, hey, this could be some points scored in this game. But yeah, if you're going to bet, check out FanDuel. They got a lot of great player props, same game parlays, lots of cool stuff. Always enjoy seeing what FanDuel has to offer. But back to it, because we got to talk about the defense a little bit. And Sean McVay is a great offensive coordinator, and he did a great job taking advantage of Upton Stout. So we know that the Los Angeles Rams know the 49ers well, but they really took advantage of Upton Stout's eagerness. Upton Stout loves to get involved in coming downhill and making plays in the run game. And so what they did was they took Jordan Whittington, and they have a look that they run where they will put Jordan Whittington or Puka Nacua. They'll motion them inside of the tight end or tackle, and they'll come inside and they'll kind of lead block. In fact, if you go and you watch the last play of the game, the last 4th down stop the 49ers got, they run this exact type of play. What they would do is they bring him in. Well, the first time they ran it was their first touchdown drive of the game. It's in the, last 3 or 4 minutes of the first half. They motioned Jordan Whittington in, and Upton Stout must have seen this on film, and, I give him credit for being a film watcher because he sold out on stopping the 49ers or stopping the Rams run. And they faked it to Kyron Williams. And you know how I know it's a good read and a good fake is Fred Warner wasn't completely fooled, but he took 2 steps forward as well. He engaged in the run game. So his reads were telling him it was a run as well. Upton Stout sold it, and they hit Jordan Whittington for a big corner route down the field. It was an explosive play, and it got him across midfield, and it was huge. And the reason I say that they took advantage of him is because the very next play, they line it up the other side. Jordan Whittington does the exact same thing. Now, this time he doesn't run a corner route. He runs an out route, but Upton Stout bit again. So it was an automatic read for Upton Stout in his mind that when they did that with Jordan Whittington, it was going to be open, that they were running to Kyron Williams. So it got him, and they took advantage of Upton Stout a little bit. That wasn't the only times, but those are some times I wanted to highlight because it kind of illustrates, you've got a young guy, and you've got a young guy that, in college, a lot of times you see certain things and you can be able to just go off of that. In the NFL, they'll use your willingness to learn and your willingness to engage and understand what's going on with their team against you. They'll say, you know what, they're pulling out. We know that we do this. We're going to catch them knowing that, and we're going to take advantage of it. And I thought they got Upton Stout a little bit, but I want to continue to give Upton Stout credit. He is still an absolute bulldog in the run game. There was a lot of times where he was going and competing and flashing and making tackles. And there's one play in particular where he's in his run fit, and Jordan Whittington comes in from behind and hits him in the back and knocks him inside. And Kyron Williams bounces outside, and Bryce Huff lost outside contain, and Upton Stout flew out there and helped make the tackle. And so you get that still. So the hustle and everything's there. Right now, the 49ers are dealing with some of the inexperience of a young player like Upton Stout. And, that's just something that's going to get better. It's the same thing with Marquis Siegel, finishing with around the ball. He had the one pass deflection in the end zone on Kobe Parkinson. But I can tell you, Marquis Siegel wants that one with Terrence Ferguson back. It was 3rd down and 5, and they had an opportunity to get off the field, and he's in perfect position. They throw the ball up to Ferguson. He's a big receiver, and he's got his hands up through his hands. The only thing he didn't do is rake back with that ball and knock it out, and it was an opportunity. And those are some of the things right now these young rookies are dealing with. But I thought that overall, both of those guys are continuing to compete, and that's all you can ask for. So Stout's going to have to learn, as a nickel corner, you can't just pull the trigger. You're not a linebacker. You've got to make sure that you're playing pass first, run second, and in the opposite situation, linebackers are playing run first, pass second. So a little bit more difficult for these guys. Now, Marquis Siegel is still looking like an absolute beast coming up. I think it was like Kyron's second run. Maybe it was his first run of the game. They're double teaming at the point of attack, getting a little bit of push on Kalia Davis. And Marquis Siegel comes flying up from 10 yards deep and is able to hit Kyron Williams in the legs. And then Fred Warner had pulled the trigger on the other side and clean him up. And they only got, they got 4 yards on the play, but it could have easily been a bigger play. Marquis Siegel continues to fly up and make tackles in the running game, and also out in space in the passing game. He led the team in tackles in this game. I thought he played pretty well. Now, I don't think his PFF grade is going to show that, right? I mean, this doesn't always happen when you got guys who fly around and have to be a part of a lot of plays. And in fact, him and Upton Stout didn't have good scores, but I thought you're still seeing a young player developing. And I love that fact that he pulls the trigger and comes. It reminds me a lot of Malik Mustafa, and the 49ers need those guys that can do that. So I wanted to kind of talk about him a little bit and what he's still adding. Now, the 49ers breakdowns in coverage, it did happen a lot in this game. I thought some of it you give credit to the Rams. You give credit to Sean McVay and his design, plays like with Upton Stout. I thought that there were a couple other ones too where they took advantage of the 49ers linebackers and their eagerness as well. And it happened a lot when it came to blitzes. The very first touchdown, Kyron Williams walks into the end zone. 49ers come with an overload blitz, and they send D. Winters and Jason Pinnock off one side, and there's 3 receivers to the other side. And so Marquis Siegel trying to roll to the top, Fred Warner trying to roll over to be a help, and you've got the corner going deep with the receiver. No one to account for Kyron Williams. So there should have been somebody there that's able to roll over. Maybe they were expecting Kyron Williams just to try to give help because so many people were coming, and the Rams just said, hey, we're going to get him the ball. That's our hot read, and he just walked in the end zone. So 49ers still not all the way there when it comes to, who's supposed to do what. I'm guessing somebody was supposed to drop out of that, and nobody did, and Kyron Williams got left wide open. Or if you are coming in a blitz, you've got to make sure you at least make contact with Kyron Williams and do not just let him free release. You've got to push him. You got to pull him. You got to do something to make sure that he doesn't just get a full release out into space. So that's something that I think the 49ers are going to have to work on, because right now with the pass rush that they have, it wasn't as ineffective as it was against Jacksonville. I thought that there were moments it was good. I thought when it really got ineffective was when they lost so many guys, right? Once you lost Kalia Davis and then you lost Yetur Gross-Matos, I felt like they were getting so many reps that they were kind of wearing down. Now, they didn't look worn down when they had to make their big stops, but I thought that in pass rush, they didn't generate as much as they did early in the game. So they definitely need more pass rush help. And until they get some, the 49ers are going to have to mix in some of these blitzes. So they're going to have to work on being able to rotate in their zone and being able to get over there and help where the blitz is coming from. So you gotta rotate that coverage, and they didn't roll that coverage good enough on those blitzes. So that's something to remember. Now, Alfred Collins and CJ West, they keep getting better. We saw Alfred Collins make the big play where he knocks the ball out, but those guys were competing the whole game, holding their ground against double teams, fighting, getting more pass rush, continuing to compete. CJ West is doing it with a cast on. Alfred Collins, walked away from this game with a sprained knee, but these dudes are battling, and that's what you're hoping, is that by the time you get to the main moments when the games matter, especially at the end of this season, working into the playoffs, that these guys are ready to roll. And we're starting to see some of it. We're getting quarterback hits. We're getting some penetration. These guys are playing good against the run. Alfred Collins graded out to be one of the best defensive players, in this entire game. I mean, he played really well. Highest graded on defense, Alfred Collins was second. Gross Matos was number one, but he only played 11 snaps. He was 89.5. Alfred Collins, 85 in 40 snaps. And 40 snaps, it continues to elevate for him. He's playing more, than you thought, but over a 90 run grade for Alfred Collins. Really good stuff. Those young guys are stepping up, and that's what you have to have. You have to have these guys making plays. So that is upon further review. The 49ers, lots of good, some bad to go with it. Some coaching points you got to keep working on to get better. But that's exactly what they're going to do as they prepare for another tough matchup against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Sunday. Thanks for watching, everyone. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you're listening to audio platform, 49ers Cutback on Believe Network. Please give it a 5-star rating. Of course, this episode brought to you by FanDuel. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Until then, stay safe. Remember, the right way is always the 49ers way.